Hey, welcome back to On Writing. If you're new here, my name is Megan. I'm a professional writer and writing coach. Today we're looking at Olivia Rodrigo's new song, Can't Catch Me Now. Olivia co-wrote this song with Dan Nigro for the upcoming Hunger Games movie, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which we all know is based on a novel by Suzanne. So of course we had to look at this song. If you want the extended version of this video, you can find that on Patreon. I'm excited to see what they came up with.
There's blood on the side of the mountain. There's writing all over the wall.
Okay, so far I love the folksy feel of this song. It feels like I'm listening to it as I'm frolicking through the forest. So a little bit of a recap about this book. It's set, I think, something like 60 years before the Hunger Games trilogy takes place. And it's about President Snow kind of as he was becoming the tyrant we all knew him to be in the Hunger Games. And also a look into the early stages of the Hunger Games and a love affair he has with one of the tributes. So that's a little bit of the context of the story, at least. There's blood on the side of the mountain. That's kind of an interesting line because if you're looking at a mountain, you wouldn't be able to see blood on the side of it unless it was like a lot of blood. It makes me think of a volcano with lava pouring down because really that's the only way you would ever see blood on the side of the mountain. Unless you're also on the mountain, climbing the mountain, and you see blood on it, which could also be the case. So that's what that makes me think of. It's a very strong image to start with. Then there's writing all over the wall. So that's kind of a common idiom, which means that it's really clear that something is going to fail. Like basically like it was written there for us to see. This was not going to go well. So it kind of ties into the first line, I think. There's blood on the side of the mountain, like it's really obvious that something is wrong.
Shadows of us are still dancing in every room, in every hall.
Shadows of us are still dancing in every room, in every hall. So the word still makes me think something that was there is no longer and only the shadow is left. That's a really cool picture. I like that. Shadows of us. So who's us? And their shadows are still dancing. So this is giving me a sense that there's a place. And in that place, there were good memories, but now those memories are just shadows, right? In every room, in every hall. Then let's go on.
The snow falling over the city. You thought that it would wash away.
There's snow falling over the city, like tying into President Snow. I don't know why ashes are coming to mind. I'm picturing the Hunger Games trilogy now and the things that happen in those books, and I'm just picturing like ashes falling. Maybe I'm also thinking of the volcano picture that came to mind for the first line, but
the bitter taste of my fury and all of the messes you made.
You thought that it would wash away the bitter taste of my fury and all the messes you made. Uh-oh. You thought it would wash away the bitter taste of my fury? I like that rhyme between away and taste. So somebody, whoever this narrator is telling this to, there's a lot of fury and bitterness. The bitter taste of my fury. Yeah, we could park on that for a while. And all the messes you made. This person is basically setting up this conversation around, you thought that this would happen. I'm assuming that she's going to tell us it didn't happen. So
you see my face in every place, but you can't catch me now.
Yeah, you think you got away, but I'm in the trees, I'm in the breeze, my footsteps on the ground, you see my face in every place, but you can't catch me now. So this person, right, the person the narrator's talking to, did something. What did they do? I don't know. But this person who's telling the story is in the trees, they're in the breeze, so they're high up and all around. Their footsteps are on the ground, so they're in the air, they're on the ground. You see my face in every place. This person's all around, which makes me think that this person's kind of ghostly and perhaps not with us anymore if they can be in all of these places. It also makes me think of shadows of us are still dancing in every room, in every hall, and now we get you see my face in every place. It's almost like this person's kind of haunting the one that wronged them. That's just my guess. But they can't be caught.
The waiting grass, the months will pass, you'll feel it all around.
Okay. Through waiting grass, the months will pass. Waiting grass is also interesting. Waiting grass? Like if you're wading through something, I always think you're wading through water. That's most typically how that's used, I think. But waiting grass, in my mind, it makes me think grass that's tall and hard to kind of maneuver through. So these months are passing through waiting grass. So things are growing, they're still alive, but it's hard to get through. That's what that picture is bringing to mind for me. You'll feel it all around. I'm here, I'm there, I'm everywhere. So again, this person is saying, they're telling us pretty distinctly, they're everywhere.
Bet you figured I'd pass with the winter, be something easy to forget.
What?
Oh, you think I'm gone 'cause I left.
Bet you thought I'd never do it. What the heck does that mean? What did you do? Thought it'd go over my head. What would go over your head? I bet you figured I'd pass with the winter. That was a really interesting approximate rhyme. I bet you figured I'd pass with the winter. Man, it like somehow sounded good when she sang it, but that's not really a rhyme at all. Figured, winter. All right, I like it. Be something easy to forget. Oh, you think I'm gone 'cause I left. I think when you read the book and you see the movie, this story will make more sense, but we really don't have an idea of what actually happened. This is all reflection and no action. The only action we get, kind of, is there's snow falling over the city. That's action, and that's a certain type of writing style that you can implement. It's much more literary, if we had to put a term to it, just whatever the character is thinking they're saying. So the plus side of that is that it's a little bit more interesting in terms of getting the character's internal state, seeing how they change throughout the story. But what's tricky about it is it takes a lot more work for a reader to infer when there's mostly reflection and not a lot of action. So in a novel, if this was how it was written, you'd want to make sure that it was a little bit clearer what was going on. But because this is a song written for a movie based on a book, it's sort of implied that the listener is going to know the story and be able to fill in those gaps. You can get away with being a little bit more vague.
In the trees, I'm in the breeze, my footsteps on the ground.
Okay, they repeat that.
You can't catch me now. I'm coming like a storm into your town.
Oh wow, and they just repeat that. Okay, so you can't catch me now. I'm coming like a storm into your town. I'm just picturing it as this person's talking to Cornelius Snow because he's the main character in the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. But what's coming to me now is maybe it's like I'm coming like a storm into your town. I just feel like it could be interpreted as revenge or guilt or fear. Like these things he has to live with at the end of the story are coming after him and he can't catch it. He can't find it, but it's all around him. What if it was just a personification of something that he's dealing with, like guilt or regret? I don't know. That's just what came to mind for me, but I like that you could maybe interpret it both ways. They repeat that, and then they say,
Don't burn the way you'd expect. Yeah, you thought that this was the end.
That's where it ends. Ooh. They repeat the first stanza again, but they change it a little bit. There's blood on the side of the mountain. It's turning a new shade of red. Come on, that's gotta be lava. That makes me think of lava. Anyway, sometimes the fire you founded don't burn the way you'd expect. Ooh, yes, fire is very uncontrollable. Be careful if you start a fire. Yeah, you thought that this was the end, which implies that, again, it's not. So how does that differ from the first stanza? There's blood on the side of the mountain. There's writing all over the wall. Shadows of us are still dancing in every room, in every hall. So there's a nice rhythm to that, and you can tell why, because there's the same amount of syllables in every other line. So let's look at that. There's blood on the side of the mountain. That's 9. It's turning a new shade of red. 8. Yeah, sometimes the fire you founded. 9. Don't burn the way you'd expect. 7. So that punches it a little softer. But the 9, 8, 9, 7, that's going to give it a nice rhythm. If you're ever wondering, like, why does my poem sound so strange? Or why do these lines not kind of have that poetic bounce to them? Just try to write a stanza using the same amount of syllables in each line and hear how that sounds to you when you read it out loud. Then try alternating, maybe 10, 8, 10, 8, and see how that sounds to you. And that's kind of how you can play around with rhythm. This song is very cryptic. We have to know about the story that is behind this in order to understand what they're talking about. But again, the nice thing about reflective writing that is not so plot driven is that you can have several different interpretations of what they're talking about. It can apply to more situations. When writing just says, this happened and then this happened and then this happened and that's how I felt about it, it's a little bit more direct, right? There's not as much room for interpretation there. But when it's like, there's blood on the side of the mountain, the writing was all over the wall, you thought it would wash away the taste of my fury. I mean, we can fill in the gaps with our own story of what happened. happened here. And it doesn't even have to connect to the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. So as you're writing your own projects, how much detail do you really want to give? Do you want to leave it a little bit ambiguous, or do you want it to be really clear so that they can just get the story and move on? The first is going to be more literary. The second is going to be more commercial. So just something to think about. That was Can't Catch Me Now by Olivia Rodrigo. If you've read any of the Hunger Games books, let me know below. If you want a really good example of first-person writing, I would suggest the Hunger Games for sure. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching. It was so good to see you today. Take care and happy writing.